Chapter 28 Logan's POV "Crystal," King Luther called softly, but Eva didn't answer him. I could sense her worry that maybe he's just like her parents. "Do you really not remember me? We used to play together," he cooed, trying to gain a reaction from her, but Eva just clutched my arm tighter. "Father, take him away!" I mind-linked my father so as not to seem rude. I wanted it to appear like it came from him and not me. "Alpha Luther, how about we go talk in my office? I'll explain everything," my father said as he came to stand next to us. King Luther's gaze turned toward my father, and he nodded hesitantly with a sigh. "And Eva and I will go rest. We had a very eventful day," I announced as I snaked my arm around Eva's lower back, bringing her closer to me. "Yeah, you guys seem tired. We'll discuss everything in the morning," my father said, as he led King Luther up the stairs towards his office. "Let's go," I told Eva, and ushered her to go up as well. My mom prepared one of the guest rooms for us until our room is safe again. The guest room wasn't as big as ours, but it was still tolerable. "Do you want to take a shower first?" I asked Eva as we entered the room. She nodded her head. "Yeah, I'd like that." I reached out for the pajamas my mom prepared for both of us and handed Eva hers. She smiled at me brightly, making my heart flip inside my chest. I grinned widely at her. "I'll be waiting until you come out," I whispered in her ear as I leaned in to kiss her cheek. Her face reddened, and she averted her gaze to the floor. As soon as I pulled back, she practically ran out of the room to the bathroom down the hall. I chuckled at her reaction. I can never get enough of her. I waited under the covers until the door opened gently, snapping me out of my daze. Eva entered the room with careful steps and slowly made her way to the other side of the bed. She removed the covers slightly and dug her body beneath it. The whole time my gaze never left her. "Logan," she called softly. "What will happen if King Luther really is my grandfather?" she asked as she turned her head to the side, her eyes capturing mine. They were filled with worry and fear. I just wanted to take all her pain away. I scooted closer and cupped her face in my hands. "Let's not think about that right now. We had an amazing day, except for the last part. But today, you made me the happiest man alive. So let's just go to sleep right now and talk about all this fiasco when we wake up," I pleaded. I really didn't want anything to ruin this day, but since something really did happen, I was hoping for it to at least end with smiles on our faces, or at least on Eva's face. What I wanted happened, and a beautiful smile spread across her face, making me smile back in return. However, I didn't expect what she did next. She scooted closer and engulfed my body between her soft, tiny arms. My wolf was jumping like some loon unicorn. I didn't take that much time to respond to her hug by wrapping my own arms around her waist. "Eva," I called softly into her hair. "Yeah?" she responded. "What do you think about officially taking on the Luna position with me by your side as Alpha?" I asked hopefully. My dad has been bugging me about it ever since I found Eva, but I didn't want to overwhelm her so soon. I wanted her to trust me and my family and feel safe and at home before she proceeded with anything else. Eva pulled back a little to look into my eyes questionably. "My father wants us to take over the Alpha and Luna positions, but I wanted your approval first. If you want to wait for some more time, I understand. I can tell my father to put it off," I explained. I didn't want it to seem forced. I wanted her to take the decision on her own. "Do you think I'll be capable of being a good Luna to your pack?" she asked with furrowed eyebrows. "I don't think so. I know so. Plus, I'd be there to support you the whole time. You don't have to worry about it or overwhelm yourself with anything," I replied knowingly. Eva looked to be deep in thought as she stared intently at her hands that now rested on her lap. Then she looked up at me with a small smile. "I'd love to be the Luna by your side," she replied, her smile growing on her face. I found myself grinning foolishly and pulling her back flush against my body. That would be awesome. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, because really, waking up to Eva's sleeping face has got to be the best thing to start my day. She looks so pure and innocent, and if I didn't already know her past, I would have thought that her eyes never saw hardship. I reached my hand to push a stray band of silk from her face and bring it behind her ear. My hand lingered on her cheek, but when my gaze averted slightly to the time and saw it was already 10 in the morning, I knew that I had to leave Eva's side and go meet with my dad and King Luther. I groaned inwardly so as not to wake Eva, and with a soft kiss on her cheek, I scooted out of bed. I was about to open the bedroom door and head towards the bathroom when I heard a sleepy groan. I turned behind me to find Eva rubbing her right eye as she attempted to sit up. "Logan," she called groggily. I turned on my heel and made my way towards her. "Morning, baby girl," I said as I leaned and kissed her forehead. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice coming out raspy. "I have to go get ready so I can meet with my father and King Luther," I replied. I noticed that on my mention of King Luther, Eva became more awake and alert. "I want to come," she stated with determination. I furrowed my eyebrows. "Why do you want to come to some boring meeting? Go hang out with the girls and find something fun to do," I said, trying to tug her out of it. She shook her head. "Please, Logan, I want to go. I agreed yesterday to become the Luna of this pack, the Luna by your side, so I have to be there at meetings and fight alongside with you," she retorted back confidently. I sighed deeply. "Eva, I know that you've agreed on becoming the Luna, but it's still not official. Plus, I don't want you to get hurt no matter what, so fighting alongside of me is a never." Eva's face turned into a scowl, and my wolf was clawing at me for being the cause of her upset mood. I sighed once again and ran my fingers through my hair. "Eva, please don't do this to me." "Can't I at least just attend the meeting?" she asked with pleading eyes. I found myself sighing for the 3rd time this morning, but then I gave up and nodded. Her face brightened up in an instant, and she jumped out of bed and towards the door, not before yelling a thank you on my way. When the both of us looked presentable to the outside, I held her soft, delicate hands in mine and led her towards the office. My father and King Luther were already there waiting for us. "You finally showed up," my father murmured, mostly to himself, but of course we all heard with our werewolf hearing. King Luther was sitting on one of the chairs adjacent to my father's desk, his eyes never leaving Eva since we entered. My wolf Rex was growling inside of me, wanting that old man to divert his eyes, but with him being the king, I couldn't really do that. Plus, I still wasn't officially the alpha, so I wasn't as powerful as I should be. I led Eva to the couch opposite the desk, me proximal to King Luther's side and Eva right next to me. I tried as much as possible to hide her body from his stare. "Logan, Eva, I want you guys to know that I have informed King Luther about your situation, Eva," my father said as he directed his words to Eva as if asking for her approval. Eva nodded her head and my father took it as a sign to continue. "I've told him about your parents, about Drake, and about how you can't remember anyone from your past." "I remember him," Eva bluntly said. All our eyes snapped towards her in shock. You remember me?" King Luther asked, hope and a ray of happiness crossing his face. "You never told me that you remember him, Eva," I told her in disbelief. "Remember when I took the potion that turned me to a 3-year-old? She started, and my dad and I nodded. King Luther looked lost but said nothing as Eva continued. "When I woke up, I remembered my real name. how Drake was like an older brother to me and how my relationship with my parents was. And one of the things that I remembered was me playing occasionally with a grandpa that I wasn't allowed to tell anyone about. He would come and visit me in secret and would tell me to not tell my parents or Drake about it. I couldn't really remember his face, but when I saw you last night, bells rang in my head. And when I woke up this morning, I was sure that it was you. She explained her story thoroughly as we all sat there listening to her every word with ultimate concentration. When she finished, I heard King Luther sigh deeply. Yes, I never wanted your parents to know that I came to see you, especially your father. You see, your father is actually a rogue, and unfortunately for me, he was my daughter's mate. I tried to warn your mother that he wasn't good and that we can't trust him. But she would never listen, and I had nothing in my hands to do. I saw them act all lovey-dovey inside the castle since your father came to live with us, and 3 months after they met each other, your mother was pregnant with you. The idea of having a grandchild made me so happy and overlooked the fact that your father was actually a rogue. I was blinded with happiness that I didn't notice the small group that your father had started turning against me. Their aim was for me to leave my position as king, and in my place your father would become king. Your parents and I argued a lot, but I would have never left my position for a rogue. The arguments turned into intense fights, and sooner than I'd expected, your father had started a war, and your mother followed. A soft gasp escaped Eva's lips, and her eyes widened. I felt her body tense up, so I held her body closer to me in reassurance and started rubbing soothing circles on her back. Their small group of rebels couldn't defeat my warriors, but the constant fighting sure did weaken them, and after some time, your parents gave up and ran away. I didn't bother to go after them and just let them be, but grief filled my entire soul as you left with them. I hired someone to search for you, but came out nada each time. But after about 2 years, I found you and started visiting you secretly until one day you vanished. I've searched for you everywhere, but I was never able to find you. And what made me go crazy was the fact that I could see your parents living their life normally, with you nowhere in sight. I've thought about confronting them, but found it useless. However, I never gave up. Ever since then, and until yesterday, I've been sending out search parties for you. King Luther's eyes were clouded with tears as he spoke, and soon a sob had escaped his lips. But you know what? I'm happy. I'm really happy that all this searching didn't go to waste. I found you. I finally found you, my dear Crystal, he said between sobs as tears ran down his face. My heart broke at the sight of him. I felt Eva leave my side and walk towards King Luther, sitting on her knees as she reached him. She then extended her arms and wrapped them around his neck, engulfing her grandfather in a most wanted hug. They both needed it right now. The things they've been through weren't little, and to finally reunite with family must have been a very happy thing for Eva. King Luther's arms wrapped around Eva's tiny waist as he sobbed more. I'm so sorry. I never thought they'd do that to you, Crystal. I should have protected you. I should have taken you back to the castle with me. King Luther kept apologizing over and over again, as Eva kept reassuring him that it's all going to be okay, and that she's safe now. I just sat there in my place as I looked at them crying in each other's arms. I was happy that there was someone from Eva's family out there for her, and to think that it was the king. My baby girl is a princess from the inside and now from the outside, too.